Ask him.
I am genuinely curious. Jarrod doesn't mess around anymore. Keep clinging. I'll sing. New Warriors come out to play. Yay. What bottles are those?
The same old Diet Frosty root beers with my old mustaches stuck. All the old mustaches I've worn stuck.
Nice, very well prepared. Before we get started, because we can never get started like normal, well-adjusted podcasters.
No.
Hines, how do you pronounce your last name? Is it Coke? Is it Coach? We need help here. So help us translate that, because we were both curious about that before the show started. I was curious, and then Jarrod chimed in. So now we're curious, me and him. I will now go to the script. Welcome to Come Out to Play a New Warriors podcast. I'm Delvin, a.k.a. The Dark Web, like it says down there. And if you're watching this via YouTube or whatever way you're listening, we would love for you to hit the like and subscribe button. What do I do? Where's my script? Okay, I get it. I used the script that didn't have you on it. So like, I'm not introducing you. I'm introducing Corey Blake again. What's up, Corey? How you doing?
That guy.
Sorry.
I don't know.
Corey was a great guy, but in this case, we have our regular host on the show. He is the Nova to my Night Thrasher. His name is Jarrod Albrick. Some know him as the Yard Sale Artist. Some know him as Death Probe. Some know him as J-Bo with the Big Balls. But
hey,
Jarrod, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. I really can't complain. And it was, good chill day. I'm nursing a hamstring injury that I told you about, but I can tell the listeners about. And I want to remember this 6 months from now so I can laugh. Yesterday, boys, girls, men, women, I went to the Carolina Panthers. They did this thing for my job where you got to meet some of the Panthers players, and we met a couple of current Panthers players, Jeremy Chin and Derek Brown, who went to Auburn, like the mug that Jerry's drinking, Warrior, and two Carolina Panthers legends, Mushin Muhammad and Wesley Walls. And so like that was all cool and awesome. And so like we did like a little light warm up, and we did some football style type drills or whatever. And one of those football style drills was the 40-yard dash. And I'm like, I'm going to do the 40-yard dash first. I'm fast. And so I, did my 40-yard dash, and about 30 yards into the 40, my hamstring was like, how old are you again?
See, this is why they call it the 40. Okay. You have to be 40 or under, and you've exceeded it.
It's like the certain, like, you got to be this line and under. All right, where you at?
Up here.
So Jason Lady commented, Delvin hurt himself fighting Midnight's Fire. I would say that I caught a little bit of Midnight's Fire in my hamstring about 30 yards into that run. But I finished it, and I'm proud that for, let's see, what was I, like 238 yesterday, 239-pound guy, I ran it in a 5.76. That's not bad. And it could have been a little bit faster had my hamstring not decided to be like, you don't sprint, right? That's not a thing you do or have ever done your adult life.
I love the fact that I am only 6 pounds heavier than you, yet there's a striking difference in our body type.
I don't know.
I have another joke, though. I have another joke.
Okay, go for it.
So what you do when you get to pull the hammies, you got to get this ointment that's good. And the name of the ointment is Midnight's Fire.
There you go. Burns so good.
There we go. It's Delvin and I were texting earlier, sharing our over 40 injuries. Yesterday, I did a Billy Blanks workout video. And I was doing the side kicks, and I have a bad hip, and I can't get that foot up like I used to. So I was like being real tentative with it. And I joked about Billy Blank's got to stop the workout, looked at the camera and said, "Easy, Death Probe, easy."
What you doing, bro? What you doing?
Easy with those sidekicks, buddy.
You ain't got to kick that high. It's okay.
This is
it's
not
okay.
1998.
Oh my goodness. We have somebody who's commiserating with us. Scott O'Neill says, I literally hurt myself opening a container of cottage cheese this morning. Oh my goodness.
Love it.
You know what? I'm going to save a comment because I definitely want to talk about it, and I'm glad that he mentioned it. But before we get too far off the script that, actually isn't on this present script, but I don't care. Jarrod, I know you got a question for me, so ask it.
Yeah, I do. This is all about blacks and whites, Delvin, in the art world. On the cover specifically, and throughout this, it's all been about light and dark. The cover kind of caught my eye with the sort of negative space drawing of Namorita. So I decided, kind of a left fielder though, what is your favorite piece of uncolored black and white art that you have seen in the comics world? Figured I'd toss that one to you, let you. So, uncolored black and white art.
Ooh. Jeez, man. I don't know. That's what.
While you're thinking, Jason Lady said Billy Blank's workout video, to quote Big Kenobi. That's a name I've not heard in a long time. Yeah, man, the DVDs were made like in the early 2000s. I found them at a yard sale, put them on my Plex, so now I can just go out to the building, and I got a bunch of stuff from there. Anyway, back to black and white art.
Man, you got me on this one. I can't think of anything offhand. Like, my first guess is it had to have come from probably one of the earlier, the Marvel Masterworks, where you can get like the early comic book.
Like the essentials.
Like the essentials.
Okay.
Like I read,
you're getting that right.
I bought plenty of those. So like, in which, of course, you learn had like pretty good artwork in it and stuff like that from the classics. You as the younger guy, or me as the younger guy from the 90s or whatever, like, oh, look at this old stuff. And no, plenty of good story for cheap. And so it'd probably be one of those. So let's just go with the, early, Stan Lee, Steve Ditko run of Spider-Man, because you got me on that one. I'm blanking. What I know you have one though.
I thought that I would predict what you would say. I was not. I remember an issue that came out of a short-lived series called Batman Black and White, and Jim Lee did the cover of #1.
Ooh.
And did it look good? And I want to say you have another art buddy, which I don't like, but he did like a recreation of that cover for you, and he did a good job too. I think he did it pencil, and
my friend Bo Sutton.
There you go.
Yes, he drew those back in college, dude. I still have that. Like, he drew one of Batman that was really, really good.
It was basically a cover recreation of the Jim Lee from Batman Black and White #1, and that's a darn good drawing. So, yup.
So you don't like him because you think he draws better than you? Is that it?
Yeah, I just don't like him. We don't have to have reasons. I don't know if I've ever met him. He's probably a good dude.
He is. Last time I hadn't heard from Bo in a while. Last time I checked, he met a Canadian gal, and he had been married and moved up to Canada, as one does, and had a little one, and was a good family. But I mean, you can't hate him too much. I mean, because he went to Auburn, so got some good characters there. Let's see. Jason Lady, once again, he's a star right now of the show, says there are some off the hook black and white covers featuring a black costume, Spider-Man, like Peter Parker 101. Bot Boy Versus, welcome. Bot Boy says Frank Miller has some great black and white art. Matt Paso says my favorite black and white pieces would likely be one of my comic commissions.
I can relate.
Yep, for sure. Let's see.
Kathy had one earlier.
Yep. And AU Kathy says I vote Blade the Immortal. It's the only one I know.
So that's backstory. Right. I was with Kathy at this comic shop, and we were bin diving, and Shag was there too. One of 2 times at that comic shop. They have 80-cent long box dives.
Okay.
And she found a run of Blade the Immortal. I'm
Ooh.
ballparking it here, but like from issue, let's say 50 to 175.
Okay.
And she bought a fat run of it. And I believe she's going to bring it to Crusademas in the next year. Not this year, but next year.
Oh, you didn't tell us. You told us that she was coming on, but you didn't tell us what she was.
Oh, it's a little inside info just for the people here to come out to play.
Heck yeah, some inside baseball. And one more thing before we get started on the comic book, because it's worth mentioning. Thank you, Linkovich, for reminding me. Night Thrasher is getting a 4-issue miniseries starting in February. I saw it and was like, I was very happy about that. Like that is cool. That will absolutely be a part of my pull list. I am encouraging anyone listening to this show to go and give that freaking thing a like or sub. If you're going to your local comic book shop, please sub that thing. I plan on it as soon as it pops up, and I'm available to do so, because my hope, not so secretly, is that Night Thrasher, if that series became enough of a success, could spawn a New Warrior series, which would be fantastic. And I noticed on the New Warriors thread that I'm on Facebook that was mentioned, and I didn't see Mr. Needs the Ace a comment. And I'm wondering, you know what? No. But what
he's
if?
either involved or he's displeased with who's involved.
Right.
That's one of your 2 choices.
My hope if like that did well, and then it's like, and it's leading to an all new Warriors, you would probably hear me like like, doing a happy dance like all the way from freaking Enterprise, man, here in Charlotte.
I'd be excited about it. I mean, they did like a New Warriors a few years ago, and I kind of looked at it and I was like, I give it the Prince face. I was like, it doesn't feel right. It's just, meh.
Yeah, the latest one, like, it was like they leaked it or something, and it had like a lot of characters with these like, and it was like
it was almost unrecognizable as the New Warriors.
It was, and I was like, it wasn't because any of the characters were, we're definitely not going into any parts of that, but it wasn't. I disliked like all of the characters because none of them were new Marvel or were any existing Marvel characters except for a couple. The premise just seemed off. And so it never launched. Like, 2020
it
happened.
Didn't come out?
It did not come out.
Oh, shoot. Because I saw the buzz around it. I was like, oh, New Warriors. I kind of like the new, who the hell is that?
Yeah, it did not come out. It did not come out. Just real quick, we got some comments from Jason Lady, Matt Passo, and Tony Pennington. Welcome, Tony. All just singing the praises of the new series. So, I know that they're going to be digging into some of Night Thrasher's past, which, of course, really started here. So I am really looking forward to that. All right, we talked long enough. We got to talk a little bit about this comic book. Come out to play as a chronicling of the 1990 series, The New Warriors. The first volume of New Warriors ran 75 issues. Jarrod and I will cover all of this first volume as I rediscover my love for this series, help Jarrod find his, and share our love and joy with the listening audience. Grab your skateboards, grab your bucket helmets. It is time to play. We are covering today New Warriors issue 33, and cover credits. I didn't even think to change it, but I didn't need to because it goes to Derek Robertson and Larry Malstead. So, yep, there it is right at the bottom of the cover, bottom right, if you can see it, if you have the initial comic book. I don't know if you do or not, Jarrod.
I read this one in my trade, and yeah, I can see it down there. Yeah.
Okay.
It's got the cover in there.
Yep. Yeah, there's no way I'm going to get my camera to focus well enough on it, but here it is. And there it is. I didn't even have to scoot over. Jarrod, what you got to say about that?
About the cover. Let me change. There we go. All right. looking at the cover, this one is interesting. It's keeping with the forces of darkness, forces of light, which is what it says at the top. Part 2. It is bifurcated. Pat, that means split down the middle. The left's background is white. The right's background is black. On the left, you have Namorita, almost a negative image of her. She's done strictly in black and white, but think of it as a photo negative. So think about how you would draw her in black and white and then flip it up and reverse it. Anyways, and then on the right, like 3 people got that joke. 3 on the right, you have a scared looking Nova as she is, attacking him. And it says Namorita versus Nova at the top, and they put them in their individual little fonts, like their own comic book fonts, which was neat. And then it says the New Warriors. It's also bifurcated. The left half is black with red highlights. The right half is white with red highlights. So it's a very split black and white cover. Nova's still in his regular color scheme, so he really stands out. The other items of note is in the corner box. It is just Speedball and Rage. And depending on if you got this on newsstand or direct edition, there's a couple different ways. Because if it's newsstand, usually just get a UPC symbol. If you don't, it's a nice little drawing of Firestar.
And that's what I got.
You got the Firestar one?
Yeah, I got the Firestar one. I think I can.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Sitting there with her back to it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's on fire, and then there's a star. So, a little bit on the nose. But
Fire, star, and tons of steel all at once.
She's doing that Billy Blanks.
Like, yeah.
Oh man. Courtney, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, I love this cover. I love it. First Nova's face is like, what in the hell is this? And so and Derek's drawing of Nova, he looks powerful, and I don't know, that emblem on the top is sticking out, looking all awesome. And Namorita just looks hell-bent for leather in that black and white, where she just looks angry and dangerous. And yeah, and I had the logo split, one being, black and red, and the other one, that was cool. The only thing that they could have done, that would have even made it perfect-er to completely ruin a word, is if they put Namorita's font of her name in black and white also. But other than that, I absolutely love this cover. To me, it's borderline iconic. But that's me. What do you think about it?
Well, somebody mentioned in the chat, and I think it was Tony, said the only bad thing about the cover is the updated logo. That was a poor decision. I've missed a couple episodes here and there. I don't know if you guys have talked about the logo change between issue 30 to 31.
We have not.
31 kind of kicks off this Darkness to Light story. It's the one with Thunderfoot or whatever. Thunderbird? Warpath. It's the one with Warpath. It's kind of the filler issue between the two. But when we go from 30 to 31, there is a logo change. And I didn't notice that until Tony mentioned the comments. So now I'm looking at the both. It's easy to miss as of, I think, 32. It was the one where it was swirling around. So that's easy to miss because it was all swirly. But it was definitely right there in our faces in 31. Looking back and forth, I'm gonna go Team Tony. I like the original logo a little better. I don't hate the new one, but I like the original logo.
Jeez, now I gotta go look at the old one because it did change. And yeah, you're about to show me.
I'm trying to get an example that you can see relatively well with using the trade. All right, here's the.
Okay.
It's blocky and smooth. The new one's more of that 90s. We're hip, done with spray paint, type of look.
Yes, agreed. And I like it. I don't think it's bad.
No, I don't think it's bad either. I just like the other one a little better.
Yeah, no, I got you. So that's interesting. Like, you can please comment about that, whether or not you think that new one. Like, do you like the new Warriors logo or the old New Warriors logo best? And let's see, there are a few comments. Let's see. I should have been looking more, but let's see. Tony already talked. We talked about Tony's. Jason Lady says, great cover.
Oops, sorry.
You're good. I like the negative image Namorita. The look of horror on Nova is so well done. And I like the corner box featuring Raging Speedball. Eye-catching. And then gave it an 8? What? Jason, be less humble than that. Go all out. I'm the one that does the humility thing, and I'm not going to be doing that. But hang on a sec. Scott O'Neill says, put a pin in this cover. Issue 39 references it in a fun way. I remember. I know what 39 is. And that's probably going to get the same. Don't cheat, Jarrod. Don't cheat.
I don't know if this book goes to 39.
Even if it doesn't, like, you're going to be looking.
I don't think it does. I think it stops at 36.
Botboy Versus says Nova is looking shook. Courtney Holland says that's a different but awesome cover. Jason Lady also asks, Derek put some thought into how that helmet fits on Nova's head. New Warriors Talk says, I love this cover. Really popped on the stands and then laughed at you saying Thunderfoot.
I could not remember. One of those nights.
Thunderfoot sounds like, like an old school football player's name. And you're like, oh, they call you Thunderfoot on the field. It's like, no, that's my name. My name is actually Thunderfoot.
Thunderfoot. I feel like he's a Native American. I don't mean to stereotype, but it just feels like he is.
I thought it, so I'm like, I'm not going to leave you out there alone on the stereotype island. There, I did think it.
I'd read a comic called Thunderfoot featuring a Native American character. That's all I'm saying.
It better be good though. It couldn't be like horribly stereotyped because it's like. All right, talking about the logo, we got some comments and a little bit of dissent there. Jim Meal says, I prefer the blocky original logo. Jim, if I hadn't said hello to you, hello, sir. Jason Lady says, I gotta admit, I like the new logo better. Matt Passo says, I think I prefer the original based on nostalgia, but the updated one isn't bad at all.
That's how I feel, yeah.
New Warriors Talk says, I like the graffiti logo better, more distinct to the title. The original logo is a good, straight superhero comic, but doesn't really say young heroes.
Fair.
That's well said. I like that a lot. And let's see. Oh, and Jason Lady also asks, Solo, Thrash, and Nova series are right around the corner, and I think they changed the logo to give all three a unified identity. I believe you're correct. And let's see. Scott O'Neill says, I'm with Jason. The logo was the logo on the iconic poster. It's immediately what comes to mind when thinking about the Warriors logo. And I hope that iconic poster is the one that's on my wall, and the one that's on my wall is this one here, the graffiti one. So yes. And just to make Jarrod laugh, he hadn't seen it. Matt Passo says Thunderfoot was actually Italian. Thunderfoot Spinelli.
Spinelli said Billy Blake's new DVD is called Thunderfoot. And Kathy asked, is that a character land before time, which was Littlefoot.
And Botboy Versus adds that it's a 10 out of 10 cover. The art looks a little like Jay Lee's early artwork.
Have a Jay Lee feel. Yeah, Jay Lee feel. I'm sorry, I got excited, but yeah, it does have a Jay Lee feel.
Yep. And since this question came up, it says, speaking of the Solo series, have they said whether Come Out to Play will cover them? No, they haven't said that.
I mean, I read For Control.
Was it For Control?
Because it came out before the story arc we're reading here, because that's how it was in my book. I read it.
Oh, well, that's cool.
It precedes what we're covering now, like right before. So I did read it.
I don't think we have to. Like, I know I want to cut. Well, we're going to have to cover the annual anyway, by the way. Because it ends the Forces of Darkness, Forces of Light storyline.
Oh, it's actually an annual that matters, huh?
It's actually an annual.
I don't know if I like it when I do that or hate it when I do that.
But by the time that Thrash comes back to the team, it might be good for us to just briefly mention about Night Thrasher's For Control series. I think that would be worth doing. Like talking about the runs of the Night Thrasher book that came out afterwards, and the runs of Nova, probably a bridge too far. But the Night Thrasher For Control would not be a bad one. That's what I think. When we're actually just kind of workshopping this live as you hear it, but it wasn't a bad question at all, NWT. So appreciate that. And we should rate the cover 1 to 10. Yeah, we could do that now. You want to rate it first, Jarrod? What would you rate it?
Oh, man, I think you're going to be higher than me on this one. I don't dislike it. I do think it has a neat look. I do give it points because it's one of those covers where if you're flipping through a $1 bin or an 80-cent bin, as the case may be for some of us, and you see it, you're going to have that immediate, okay, I know this issue, because it's very representative and it's very memorable. I like it at the tune of an 8.
Okay. And that's probably the farthest apart that we're ever going to be, like ratings wise. I'm giving it a 10. I love it. Like, I absolutely love this cover. I think it is so creative. Like Namorita being in black and white like that. And it is so striking. And I think the drawing of Nova is also just awesome. So there's just a lot to love about the cover. So that, and then them like playing on the whole thing, even in the background, even with the logo, even with the words, forces of darkness, forces of light, they really committed to it. And I think that that's awesome. So it gets a 10 for me. New Warriors Talk agrees with me and gave it a 10 as well. His exact words were, I think the cover is a 10 for me. And with that, Jarrod is going to read the credits for the issue.
I certainly am. And this is New Warriors number 33. Its on sale date was January 26th, 1992. Its cover date is March of 1993. Doesn't seem right. I bet its on sale date was actually January 26th, 93. And the cover date was March of 93. That makes more sense.
That probably is correct. Whoever created that script, needs to be chastised.
I blame myself.
We're not here to take sides, Jarrod. It was you.
All right, I'll take it. Its cover price was $1.25. I feel like they've been raising the rent around here. The story is by a friend of the show and former guest Fabian Nicieza. Pencils are by Derek Robertson. Inks by Larry Malstedt, who is steadily inking all these issues. Colors are Joe Rosas. The letters are Joe Rosen. And the editor is the Ninja Turtles villain, Rob Tokar. Thank you to Mike's Amazing Web for that. And I want him to be the editor forever so I can keep making that Ninja Turtles joke every episode.
Who's the actual villain?
There's a guy named Tokar.
Oh.
Tokar and Razor. They introduced them in the second movie.
Turtles movie. Okay. Gotcha. Let's see. Did we miss any comments going on? Matt Paso gave the cover a 9. Says from cover alone, I'm like Namorita stuck in an oil spill from the 1990s. Oh man, Exxon Valdez. Exxon Valdez references, Dove soap. Dawn soap. Scott O'Neill gave it a 9, says it would be a 10, but I'm disappointed in seeing that Nova is afraid.
Yeah, you didn't read that one all the way through before you started, did you?
That Nova is afraid of strong black women. Oh my goodness, Scott, go to timeout, please. New Warriors Talk says, now that Delvin pointed it out, the Namorita versus Nova not being centered and their logos not being color inverted is bugging me, but still a 10. So
I feel that.
Lot of good comments about the cover.
What would have boosted it for me, actually, when I saw this cover, I thought for sure that the cover of 34 was going to flip it. Like flip the black and white and then do 2 more heroes. Because I thought, that'd be a real thematic cover. I cheated and looked at 34 and it didn't.
Yeah.
I think if it had done that, I think it would have bumped it up to a 9.
I got you. And let me read the synopsis. The title of this book is Forces of Darkness, Forces of Light, Part The Soul Canyons. The Dark Force is slowly taking over Manhattan, and while some heroes unite to fight the darkness, others succumb to and join the darkness. Doctor Strange finds the source of the darkness in the Smithers Drug Rehabilitation Center. Remember the young man from last month? Yes. But is Doctor Strange too late? Now we're going to talk about it. Jared's going to bring up some images. We're going to talk about them images, and a story review is going to result from it. Jared,
All
go.
right. I pulled up the image of page 1, as I tend to do. It's got your credits for the team, and it usually starts out with a splash page, and it's a strong start because we have Spider-Man and Speedball, and they're working together. They're two funny heroes. Let's just get into probably my biggest low for this issue. And maybe I was a grump, or maybe I'm just like way too much Team Spidey, but I found Speedball, and I know his character's supposed to be a little annoying, but I found him to be very annoying in this issue. Like, I don't know why. Like, I don't know why, like all his little bits and jokes and jabs just weren't landing with me. The whole time I was like, shut up. So maybe I was just grumpy, but that was my biggest low for the issue. Like, Speedball was annoying me. But then I thought, well, he's supposed to be annoying, so that's not really that bad.
Was Jordan possibly getting on your nerves at the time?
Could be. Who knows?
Sitting there mumbling, reading a book. Stupid.
Shut up.
Okay. We start the adventure. The adventure? Yeah, I said that right. It sounded weird though. Adventure. I just want to comment, I probably might say this a couple of times more. Derek Robertson can draw some doggone Spidey. Like, to the degree where I'm like, how in the world did they not get him on? Like, they had 18 Spider-Man books at the time. They had Web, they had Spec Spidey, they had Adjectiveless Spidey, they had Amazing Spidey, they had annuals. He never drew any of them. How?
I'm telling you, as I flipped through this, I legitimately was thinking, like, I could peek inside of his brain, and I just feel like I don't have paperwork to back this up, but I feel like he was like, Bag's got the Spidey gig from this book. I'm going to get the Spidey gig from this book because he seems to put a lot of effort into some really good Spideys in here. There'll be more to come for those of you watching live.
Yeah, and Scott echoes what we say. Scott O'Neill says, legit got nervous considering Spidey stole our initial artist. I mean, he was doing, like, they were on the Eric Larson, Todd McFarlane train, because Todd McFarlane did Hulk, Eric Larson did Hulk. Todd McFarlane did Amazing Spider-Man, Eric Larson did Amazing Spider-Man. Todd McFarlane did Adjectiveless Spider-Man. Eric Larson followed him and did Adjectiveless Spider-Man. So, hey, I cannot blame Derek if he were like, hey, Mark. Like, I cannot blame him if he were doing that. Great Spidey drawing. Story begins.
Yes, indeed. We'll move on to the next screenshot I took, which it's another great Spidey drawing. Who would have guessed? And I really kind of just picked this one because there's a lot of early sort of banter and sort of teaming up to figure out what's going on between Spidey, Speedball, Firestar, and Dark Hawk. Mm-hmm. And so this kind of summarizes that because they're all here on this page. It's sort of like the initial squad that's getting together. So I picked it for that story beat, and I picked for the art beat because it's another great Spidey drawing. And Derek once again proves that he can convey a lot of emotion and stuff through body language. Spider-Man's not always easy. A lot of artists will cheat with the eyes, and go narrow when he's mad and all that. And I don't mind when they do that. I think it's fun. But he conveys a whole lot with body posture in this drawing.
Yeah, I agree, because the Warriors are kind of like, what's going on? And Spidey like, man, I don't know.
I fight the Kingpin and the Lizard Man. Give me a break.
People I can see. I don't do too much fighting of dark tendrils, except Venom.
Well, he will. Yeah, he will.
Right. So, yeah, I think Spidey was past 300 at this point. I think.
I want to say 300 was in 1989.
Oh
or
yeah,
90.
absolutely. Because they're in the 340s of Spidey. So yeah, he's fought Venom, but like other than like the whole city turning, into like dark ooze, no, that's not something that in Spidey's normal bailiwick. It's just not what he does. So he had the right to shrug his shoulders like that.
I don't know.
Very quickly, it was also worth mentioning Derek did a good job of involving Laura Dunham in the book because she was the one trapped in Spidey, and Spidey could have saved her, but Dark Hawk wound up saving her. Just kind of a way, just remember, that's who Nova's dating.
Oh,
so
that one got by me.
Yes, that's.
I think I was so caught up in going, oh, cool, it's a Dark Hawk appearance that I didn't pay close enough attention to who he was saving.
Yeah. So there you go.
And I was all like, shut up, Speedball.
New Warrior Sock says, poor Robbie. His parents are going through a divorce. Give him a break.
I have been unnecessarily cruel. I apologize.
And New Warrior Talk also added that these are two Steve Ditko characters teaming up. So that's cool.
Good point. Good point.
And let's see. Scott O'Neill says Derek drew an amazing one-shot Spidey story where Scarlet Spider, Spidey, and Venom teamed up to fight off a symbiote invasion.
I don't remember it.
Scott, tell me what that was called, because something about that is ringing kind of familiar. New Warriors Talk says he drew Spider-Man: The Final Adventure with Fabian writing in 1996. I do remember that. That was... At the time, Peter Parker was supposedly the clone. And so he moved from New York out to like Portland. And that's all I remember about it. But Derek Robertson drew it. Oh, thank you for that, New Warriors. We have awesome fans.
We got
awesome.
All right. I want to be careful that I actually say, I guess this will be recorded, so he may eventually hear it. But I miss Auburn Elvis in the chat. This is the kind of stuff that he would be in on too. All these little details.
I can't believe you said that.
I know. It's just sometimes mistakes were made.
Let's see. And Tony Pennington adds, great page. The colors pop and the characters are expressive. What's next, sir?
I will bring up our next page, which is the fight between Nova and Namorita, and more specifically the end of the fight, because while the cover does sort of tease this big fight, it really only lasts about 4 pages because there's a lot going on in this book. I'm not bagging them for it.
Yep.
But what I found particularly interesting about it is Namorita is sort of all rage and fingernails and teeth and fists and kickings and all this stuff. So it's a very like unleashed Namorita, and yet, and this is why I picked this page, Nova's like, we're done. And I was like, wow, when he uncorks all the way, apparently, because that was impressive.
It was impressive. And I did take note of that too, where we've heard this with Spider-Man any number of times, right? Like, Spidey at peak strength is canonically 40 times stronger than the strongest human, which would be pretty doggone strong, which is why he could lift cars and stuff. And he always talks about, when I'm punching bad guys, particularly just regular Joes, I have to pull my punches, because if I don't, you probably liquefy a mofo. Well, I mean, Nova is very, very strong. Like, I mean, the man has flown through space, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, it's not like Namorita is weak at all. Like Namor wouldn't be weak. But to me, it's kind of the equivalent of Hulk versus Namor, where if Hulk just finally said, you know what, enough, and just angrily punched Namor's going to go down. And I think this is similar to where Nova's like, yeah, both of us are powerful, but I'm a little bit more powerful, and I am going to end this fight now. Heck of a moment.
Yeah.
Heck of a moment.
It definitely was. I think he was probably holding back because, he's very fond of her and doesn't want to hurt her. But at the end of the day, he was like, we gotta stop this. And no, while not nearly as powerful as what I'm about to reference, though, I'll always remember the Spidey beats Firelord issue, where Spidey just got so fed up he actually beat a Herald of Galactus with his fists. And I was just like, woo! So this was kind of a big moment because I'm like, well, if she's on Namor's power level, then Nova he's something. He's a little more than I thought he was.
Yep. Yeah. We're doing Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles 5 years from now. We'll cover that that issue. So
I'm looking forward to it. It's a standout issue.
Yeah. So stick a pin in. I'm looking forward to 230. 230 is a standout issue. Like that's going to be an automatic 5 for me. We're digressing. We're talking about other shows. Jason Lady says that is quite a punch, and he is correct. New Warriors Talk says that is a Sal Buscema level punch, which is identical to what Jason Lady said, but just talking about comic books. And let's see. Auburn Elvis said, did I miss any of it? Nope, you didn't miss anything in particular.
Nope. Don't anyone tell him what I said.
didn't miss a thing. Let's see. And I think they finally talked through New Warriors Talk, and Scott O'Neill says that it was the super specials that were basically annuals at the time. They sort of renamed the annuals, and that Derek Robertson drew one of those for Spider-Man at one point. So that's it. Yeah. Next page, sir.
And someone mentioned too that they felt bad it was Jason Lady mentioned that poor Rage Nita turned his face into porridge. And again, that sells this moment even more because Rage,
strong,
is no easy win, right? No. So this is like Nova saying, "Yeah, I'm the bad boy on this team. I just don't do it all the time."
And keep in mind that like Rage, like young man, also probably still growing into his powers, but he didn't fight back because he was so devastated and hurt that his friend was attacking him. He was stunned. And he didn't know what to do. Nova came in and saw that. And so he's already fueled with that. Plus, like, ending this. This is done.
Yeah.
Great scene.
Good stuff. Really impressed. All right. I really only included this page with Archangel because there's so much going on in the storyline with different characters. You're going to realize my theme here is we're just kind of from here on, and we're just checking in on all these other characters. And it looks like Archangel has succumbed to the darkness, or at least it's got a hold of him. Yep. I don't know what's next, but it's just one of the characters in play. Didn't want to lose on the radar because it seems like it's going to be important as we move forward.
Yep. And, they're mentioning about the demons that Warren were battling, and it was probably something like, oh no, my trust fund fell by 1%.
Money markets. I do think it's interesting that unfortunately I don't have side-by-side comparison, but in the previous page to this page, Derek makes a very interesting design choice in that he's normally drawing Angel as most artists would, very lean, muscular, lean. Think Bruce Lee. Very kind of bird-like, if that makes sense, a human bird form, but lean, muscular, not bulky. But once he succumbs to the darkness, look how swole he gets. Like he's hulking out basically, and that kind of happened with Nita as well. So it's just something I noticed.
Yeah, well, we're talking about, us not having much of a weight difference. Maybe you need to succumb to the darkness like I did.
I have like competing in my head right now, like a half a dozen excellent jokes, none of which we're going to use on this live stream.
Good call.
I'll text them to you later, and you can be disappointed in me.
Do that. New Warriors Talk had a hilarious joke too. Says, except Warren's hair, his hair did not succumb to the darkness. That's funny, and it's probably a coloring mistake, but a lovable one, that's for sure. Jason Lady talking about the last scene with Nova and Namorita says Nova's dismay after knocking her out is sad. You can tell that he didn't want to do it. I just saw your comment, Jarrod. Yep, you're right. That one would not have made.
How did you see that?
Because it came up on my Mac.
Okay. I was hoping it was going to hit you later.
Nope, it hit me right now. Tony Pennington says Rage is 14. Nita should know better. Normal Nita would. Normal Nita wouldn't put a hand on him, but Angry Dark Nita had no such compunctions at all. And Scott O'Neill with a joke says Darkforce Dimensions, source of Billy Blank's power.
See the theme going here, and I like it.
And let's see. I think that's about it. One more. Scott O'Neill, just talking about this panel in particular, says the top middle panel, really creative way to show it taking him over. They did a similar thing to Rage, where that darkness attempted to take him over and Rage fought it off, which is like, no, because we actually covered that. That was very good canon that Fabian established when they did a relatively throwaway story in that Infinity Crusade story, or Infinity Gauntlet, not Gauntlet, but whichever one, where Rage fought Dark Rage and he absorbed them. And basically, like, yeah, okay, I understand my dark side now. I get it. And so, sure enough, more like outside darkness tried to take him over, and he was like, "No, I know what I'm about. Like, you're not going to get me with this." So, I appreciated that continuity.
All right, I'll bring us up a new page. And again, checking in with different characters. I picked this page 2 reasons. Let me get rid of the banner real quick because it's going to be important. We're checking in on Doctor Strange, who's basically like checking in on things. He's like, he's the guy who's going to figure all this out. We know it. Like, he's the guy that, they asked Spider-Man earlier, what's going on? And we all know Pete's move is like, I got to go talk to Stephen Strange because I don't know. I don't know. So yep. I want to hit this page for a couple reasons. One, it really shows the continued theme from last issue of the dark oozing out from the panels, which I think is always cool and clever. And then what I want to know is, as I don't think they really focus on this female in the last panel. Is that Silhouette?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, okay, I was like, I think that's her, but yeah, I had that question. And there's a couple other sort of like dark heroes. I see Shroud, and I'm not sure who the other ones are. I'm not going to lie. My Marvel knowledge is fairly deep, but not that deep.
Let me see if I can.
He-Man. I think I see the Blue Devil. I'm not sure.
Ooh, I'm not sure either off the top of my head.
I bet people in the chat are about just going to show off like mofos right now. Tell us who they are.
Yeah, please do. Yep, I know you're right on the Shroud because I recognize that emblem that he has.
I saw a Shroud. I got the others. I was like,
yeah, and it looks like
oh, there we go. There's Jason Lady.
Oh my goodness.
Giggity. Are they making these up? Black Mamba, Shroud, and Ecstasy. I'll believe it. I'll believe it.
Okay, so Jason, go ahead and tell us whose villains those are. I know about Shroud, but
yeah,
Quagmire, Black Mamba, Ecstasy.
Are
we talking about drugs?
I did the Black Mamba on a cruise once when I was. That's as far as I go.
Yeah, probably should have stopped earlier. Let's see. Any other comments? Let's see. Yeah, I would love to know the origin. Oh, Jason Lady already chimes in. Ecstasy is a cloak and dagger villain.
Okay, I do remember Ecstasy. Yes. Okay, I think I associate Ecstasy with the color green. Maybe. Okay. Anyways, Quagmire is a Quasar villain.
Yeah, that explains why nobody knew who it was.
Yeah, Jason, man, I love you and I love your deep knowledge, but you're in timeout. You're in timeout.
And Black Mamba says, Black Mamba says, Jason Lady says, Black Mamba is in the Serpent Society.
That makes sense with the snakes. Yeah.
Gotcha. And Scott says, if you mix them all together, you have a speedball.
I would say you have a Midnight's Fire.
That joke was used too. Well, you know what? Let's keep going.
All right. Well, that was cool though. I knew the people in the chat could bail us out. You guys are awesome. Right up until you know the villains of Quasar, and then you've crossed the line. Let's see. We have 2 more pages. This one we're going to check in with Oh, well, the male version of Torpedo has joined the fracas, as has the Black Knight and Crystal and the Thing. I think I got everybody. Yeah.
You're missing one.
I am? Who did I miss?
Cersei.
Cersei. I didn't see Cersei. Oh, I think I thought that was Crystal.
No, Crystal's there and Cersei's there.
Why do I not see Cersei? I believe you. I just, I'm off. I believe you. So anyway, is she on this page? Because I don't see her. She's around.
She was on the previous page.
Oh, okay.
And she's on the splash. Like she's on the other splash page. She's here.
From. All right, cool. Oh, there she is. She's got the dark hair. Yes.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Yep. There she is. So yeah, it's kind of funny. Torpedo got introduced actually a few pages early. He's like, "Hey, fellas, I'm Torpedo," and they're like, "Aren't you a girl?" Last time, like, "Yeah, we take turns being Torpedo." And I just had that real because he's all like smiling, like, "Hey, Torpedo's here, right?" And I was like, "Oh, he's gonna die during the storyline." Like, this is the guy who shows, "Hey, I'm Torpedo." I'm like, "Oh, if he makes out of this one, I'm gonna be impressed." So anyway, this page is really sort of representing the sort of this team that's sort of been coming together throughout the issue. And our boy knows how to draw some thing, man. That's a good looking thing. Tee.
New Warriors Talk agrees with you and says, I love Derek's Ben Grimm. That brow. Yeah, he put a very distinctive look on the thing. Once again, like, man, if Fabian's whole purpose of this story arc, these first two issues alone, was to just let Derek Robertson show the F out, mission accomplished. because he has just been kicking butt. Jason Lady also adds, New Earth Talk, yes, this thing looks awesome. And Jim Meal adds that the variety of heroes on this page is great. My first thought, like when I look at this page, is like, man, the Avengers, the Avengers were down bad, boy. Like you talk about like there's no Cap, there's no Thor. You got Cersei, the Black Knight, and Crystal. It's like, okay, like, well, who are their villains at the time? A particularly stiff Breeze? I they couldn't fight anyone of actual company. Okay, I'll stop bagging on them, but but this was a very different Avengers lineup than I'm used to seeing, and that's what they kind of did about the night. Jason Lady's already ragging on me, saying I'm speaking blasphemy. I tell you what, like, in my room, in my office, I have a picture that Jarrod gave me, and I framed it, of one of the 90s versions of the Avengers. And hold on, let me check it. My eyesight ain't quite what it used to be. It has Captain America, Thor, Hercules, Scarlet Witch, Hulk, Iron Man, Vision, Wonder Man, Hawkeye, Wasp. Steve Epting drew it. It was a very, very good poster, so I kept that one. And yeah, it was a good one. And this is just more about the forces that are combining to go after the bad guy. The forces are starting to build.
Absolutely. And apparently I keep calling him Torpedo because that was the original hero's name that wore that suit. Apparently they're going by Turbo now, which I'm going to consistently get wrong on many future episodes. So just know that's coming your way.
One more point before you change pages. Scott O'Neill says, just the way Derek is using shadows and light in these pages, it feels like every panel is playing with light or the absence thereof in some way. Dude went to town.
He good. That boy good.
Yeah, that boy real good. And last page.
Checking in on a excellently drawn Dagger and Cloak as well, but Dagger as that, one of my only quasi complaints about Derek is I always feel like it goes a little over the top, especially with the female expressions. Namorita is always super angry, and she's been doing that since he took over. This one, I think he does a real good job of conveying like determination and just angry, but that determined angry. His work on her face and her hair is just outstanding. So we get to look at a little more awesome art by Derek, and we get to check in on the Cloak and Dagger connection, because there's just not enough connections in this storyline.
Yeah, and at this point in the book, you had Cloak, who showed up after Nova had knocked out Namorita, and he basically is trying to suck Nova and Rage into the Darkforce, and they're resisting him. They don't want to go, and Dagger comes in to save the day. And I do like the subdued look on her face. You can tell it's like, I don't want to do this, but I am tired of this fight. And I don't want to do this fight anymore. So if we have to end it here, we are going to end it here. So yeah. I appreciated that. And this is your last page, right?
It is, yes. As a big Cloak and Dagger fan, I'm always interested in them showing up. They very appropriate for this storyline. The only hero that I was like, I wonder if he's going to show up because he has darkness related powers that has not shown up, is the Nightcrawler, because it's often forgotten that he has the ability to blend into darkness. But that might be more of a physical thing than a power. I don't know. Up for debate in the chat.
Yep. And the last page, just want to mention, that is Doctor Strange goes to the facility. He tracked down the source of where this is going on, and it looks like the young man, whose name I'm going to blank on, has now started calling himself the Void, and looks like he is, at least for now, in full control of what is going over, or maybe there's something that has completely taken him over, and he can't fight it. So one way or the other, we have a very powerful villain called the Void that has reared his ugly head. Oh, our chat thread. Look at this, man. Enrique Gallant. So thank you.
Nerds. No, I'm super impressed with you guys every time. Like every time I think, oh, I have a question about this, that, I'm like, it's gonna get answered. It's gonna get answered.
Yep, and we appreciate y'all so much for holding us up like this. And well, you know, Scott mentioned something, but it's talking about a couple issues from now, so I'm going to leave that comment. Not like you can't look at it, Jarrod, but I will not.
I saw it and I was like, I guess that's the name of the guy. The Void, is that his name? I guess, I don't
know. For now, he is the Void. Yes.
All right, I will try to avoid some spoilers. All right, I do have a question though, Delvin, before we wrap up. My last page of the trade has about 20% of the page is blank at the bottom, which tells me there might have been an ad or something like that down there.
Yeah, they did a little bit. They did a little bit of boilerplate about the publication name, New Warriors, and everything, that stuff. That's
that little indicia information, all those little words. Oh, that's where they put it. Okay, I was just wondering why I had that blank space. Sometimes it's like an ad for something, or it gets really interesting in trade paperbacks because they'll maybe have an ad for something they no longer have the rights to anymore. Like check out the latest issue of G.I. Joe, and now they don't have rights, so they have to pull that out. But it's just the indicia. I got you.
Yep. That is the book. Any overarching thoughts before we go to Warrior?
No, I've aside from my complaints about people, I've enjoyed it. I think it's a interesting story, a lot of characters to keep up with, but again, that allows Derek to show off a little bit. His tryouts for Spidey is excellent. So it's interesting enough that I want to keep reading, and that's what good comics do. All right, so let's do Worrier and Warrior. Who are we really worried about, and who do we think really shown out as the ultimate warrior? And I think we're all going with Nova on that one, but whatever. Who are you worried about, and who do you think the warrior is, Delvin?
Yep, everybody chime in who they think the ultimate warrior and ultimate warrior are. Nova's a great one. The first one I thought of actually was Spider-Man, because Spider-Man was kind of the one that at least led the heroes along to get them to the point that they realized that what was going on was the Darkforce. Because if you notice, they were trying to figure it out at Warriors HQ, but they haven't been able to get out of Warriors HQ to even find the rest of the team to spread that information. They had to find it out themselves. And Speedy was the one that finally said, oh, this is Darkforce related by the time that they got through the initial run of it. And Spidey's the one that led them through that. So I'll give it to him. Your Nova is an absolutely great choice and probably the one that most people are going to go with, but let me let you talk.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with Nova making the tough decisions. And somebody mentioned that in the chat, actually. Jason Lady, Nova did the right thing, even though it was emotionally difficult. Yeah, I mean, no one wants to smack around a teammate, especially a lady teammate, but, you know, things had to be done. And at least it was done in such a way that it made Nova look decisive and strong. He didn't seem like a bully. He didn't take any pleasure in it.
Yeah.
And so I'm all in on that. Did you mention who you were worried about?
I didn't.
Okay, back to you.
I don't know. I would say that I'm worried about just the team as a whole. Like, because they're at least understanding what's going on. Some of them are converging on to the threat, but the entire team hasn't gotten together yet to talk it through and figure it out. So they're still in the thick of it. And I'll be interested to see who from the team is going to emerge as like a big hero. Firestar seems to have powers that affect this. I'm, of course, worried about Silhouette because she's trapped in there. I don't know if Night Thrasher is going to reveal himself in this storyline. So I'm sort of just worried about the team as a whole overall. What do you think?
Well, mine's a little more specialized just because I have that love of Cloak and Dagger from childhood. I'm worried about Cloak. And if you've ever read Cloak and Dagger, those Rick Leonardi years in the 80s, it's like that's sort of the theme. You're always worried about Cloak. You know, it's tough to be a guy whose powers are just macabre and dark, you know, and he needs her and she needs him. And so I'm worried about Cloak, and I'm excited. I'm hoping Dagger has a big part in this because I'm just such a fan. I'd love to see her show out to help beat this dark villain, but we'll see. I think the culmination is coming up. I think
culmination,
right? I think Auburn Elvis mentioned that in the chat. He said, "Is the next issue the culmination?" I don't know, but it certainly feels like it is.
No, it's
Uno Mas.
Part 3. No, yep, one more after that. That'll be annual 3.
Oh, that's right. You did say it wraps up in an annual, so that's a smart way to get your, you know, back then what was it, probably $250 for the annual.
Probably. You know, we'll talk about it. Let's see. Auburn Elvis said Nova, Ultimate Warrior. Jason Lady says Ultimate Warrior is Nova as well. Did the right thing, even though it was emotionally difficult. That's what leaders do. New Warriors Talk is saying we can vote for non-warrior warriors. This feels like a betrayal. Well, I'm going to have to ask you to deal with it.
Listen, I don't know who makes the rules here, but
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if I've changed it now, NWT, then I'm a waffler, and no one likes a waffler. Scott says, worried about Nita. I never would have thought that she would have been in a group to get taken over. Yeah, she had the stuff happen in Trans Sabal, but she's clearly dealing with emotional trauma. Well, Trans Sabal, remember that Jeremy Running Bear, the sea urchin, completely destroyed her. Then she also had to take over for Namor's business while Namor went missing, parts unknown. So she's like young 20-year-old having to basically manage a whole conglomerate. So she's had a lot of stress going on. New Warriors Talk says, yeah, I'd say Nova, another moment of him stepping up and informally taking a leadership position. Very good point to mention leadership position. Jason Lady says, Warrior, Silhouette, she's stuck in the Darkforce dimension. Her eyes turning all funky. Let's see. Scott O'Neill mentions Firestar as another one to worry about. This has got to be her worst nightmare. She's always been a little worried about her powers, and here she is, possibly the only one who can do the job. Let's see. And then he also adds in a way that Firestar is also the warrior. By the way, the White Queen stuff, Vance going to jail, etc. She should be prime real estate for Darkforce possession, but she continually fights it all off. Well said. And now let's rate the book 1 to 10. I will go first on it. I'm at an 8 on this book. When I first read it, I was kind of like, it was a page turner, but only in a way I was like, okay, it just felt like a lot of things were happening and I couldn't quite connect them, which is the point. I understand that it's all going to come to a head, but like this is about a part 2 of 4 storyline, right? Number one, like part 1 usually tells you what the big threat is. Part 2 adds a little bit of context. Part 3 gives you that big penultimate, ending or like thing that you're about to go to, and part 4 ends it. So like I'm okay with 2 being at that 8 level. I am optimistic that the next issue and the next and the annual are going to be even higher than that. But it's been a good story so far, and the art is Derek showing his behind on that artwork. He is him and Larry plus the colors killing it, doing a fantastic job. And I love that Fabian has given them the opportunity to play and display all of their awesome art abilities. By all means, I'll read your comments if you give me a rating. Jarrod's about to give his.
I liked it. I am like you. It was a page turner, yet a wheel spinner at the same time. So I would say I liked it easily to the tune of a 7. Could probably talk me into an 8 because cool panel layouts and art. It's really starting to bug me now that they concluded it in an annual, because it's going to throw off the numbers of the come out to play, because the episode number has matched the issue number the entire time. I think we did an annual before, so I wondered if we should kind of do that again. And I was like, should we pull double duty? But then like looking at it, it's like it's extra pages too. Like the conclusion storyline is, because I have it here in my trade, and it's extra page count. It's 41 pages. Well, that could be. I don't know if they're counting content or not, if they're counting ads or not, but it's still, I was like, goodness gracious. So yeah, so we're gonna have decisions to make with unless we call that episode like episode 34B, the annual episode or something like that.
That's an interesting point. So here's what I'll do. I haven't thought about it. We don't, commenters, you don't have to comment about it. Like either send something to longboxcrusade.com or send something to Jarrod and I individually, or send something to Longbox Crusade forum. Let us know how you want us to do it. Like we can cover both at once, or we can cover them separately, but like just let us know. You don't have to put it in the comments now, but because we're out of time for now. But just let us know what you think about that. And I will strongly consider it, because we greatly appreciate you guys being along for the ride, and we want you to have to digest this in a format that you feel is digestible. Very quickly, though, going through some comments, Jason Lady gave it a 7. Great art, fun to see all the heroes teaming up, but I feel like it's very decompressed. Not much happens in this one, in my opinion. New Warriors Talk agree with me, gave it an 8. Auburn Elvis says I rated a strong 7. Let's see. Is there anything else? I think that's all the issues that we have. So since we've gone a little bit long, I'm going to go ahead and thank everyone and conclude the show. Come back and join us for the next episode where we discuss New Warriors 34, at least at minimum, and the Forces of Darkness, Forces of Light storyline continues. What can the Warriors do to turn the tide? And if you want to hear more from us, y'all, we're a lot of places. We're on X, Twitter, Longbox Crusade, Facebook, Longbox Crusade, Instagram, Longbox Crusade, Patreon. If you search for Longbox Crusade, you will find us. We are searching for that elusive 40th member, y'all, which will trigger me and Jarrod covering the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. We would love to do it, and all we need is one more that would get us to our 40th member. we're proud of our 39. Just so you know, we greatly appreciate y'all being along and staying along. YouTube, please, if you are watching this right now on the live stream, please like it. Please share it with somebody that loves comic book content. We love for that because we love for them to come and subscribe too. You can email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com. And we have a phone number scrolling on the bottom of the screen now, 707-532-5269. That is 707-532-LBOX. Pick up the phone.
And that's another way that they can tell us what they want us to do with the annual. If you don't want to type things out, call that number and just tell us on the voicemail.
Heck yeah. Thank you for that, Jarrod. And you got the mic, so tell them where you can be found out on the internet.
All right. I am at Yard Sale Artist on the X and the Facebook and the Instagram, or you can check out my art at www.theyardsaleartist.com. And yeah, absolutely. You can hit me up at the at Yard Sale Artist on any social medias if you want to tell me what you want us to do with the annual, and Delvin and I will discuss it. We'll take all your inputs, we'll coagulate them, and probably just do what we want. But we do want your input.
We absolutely do want your input. You can find me, DEE_RAY1977. Thanks for hanging with us, folks. I'll see you next month. And remember, be a hero to someone, even if it's just to yourself. And with that, New Warriors, come out to play. Have a good night, everybody.